I would like to provide a possible explanation for the Elden Ring in Farum Azula. Farum Azula is a mausoleum. It is associated with death, beasts, birds, and dragons. There are images in Farum Azula of the Twinbird, who was the envoy of a now unknown outer god and mother to the Deathbirds, who were responsible for the death rites of a previous age. Not only this, but it is here that we find a godskin apostle and noble, followers of the Gloam-eyed queen. Now we know that at a certain point in time, the god of the dragons fled. Placidusax, the dragon lord, waits for their return in the storm beyond time, located in Farum Azula. For whatever reason, the god of their age has abandoned them, and with it, their age has ended. Empyreans replace the gods of previous ages. They are those who are able to become the god of a new age. We know that, at some point in the distant past, the Gloam-eyed queen was in fact a rival Empyrean to Queen Marika. Given Farum Azula's association with death and the presence there of the godskin, it is at least plausible that the Gloam-eyed queen was the rival Empyrean of what remained of the dragons or beastmen, a new candidate to replace the god that fled their civilization, a god who may have been associated with death and the Twinbird. Whatever the case, we at least know that Marika defeated the Gloam-eyed queen, from whom she took the rune of death, the forbidden shadow plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation. The rune of death, a reddish rune rather than a gold one, was therefore not present in the Elden Ring of Marika's age. She left the rune of death to be guarded by Malekith, her shadow-bound beast, in the mausoleum of Farum Azula. Now, there is a depiction of the Elden Ring in Farum Azula, in the room where Malekith guards the rune of death. This Elden Ring is either the Elden Ring of the dragons from the previous age, or an early version of Marika's. If it is an early version of Marika's, the statue of the girl below it, surrounded by wolves, would likely be a statue of the young Marika. I believe this to be the case for one reason in particular. The Farum Azula Elden Ring contains in its center the same spiral image that we see in the Spira incantation of the Hornsent. Marika used the Hornsent Gate of Divinity, and by extension their powers over the Crucible, to ascend to divinity in Enir Ilim, become the vessel of the Elden Ring, and, presumably, give rise to the Erdtree. The Elden Ring in Farum Azula would therefore depict the earliest stage of the Elden Ring, and the birth of the Erdtree, with the three rings of the Elden Ring, as we know it, emerging from the normalized Crucible current, which, according to the Spira incantation item description, one day will form a column that stretches to the gods. The hands which, at the top of the central column of the incantation, appear to reach into the heavens, open into the rune arc, the rune of life, at the top of the Farum Azula ring. This is the arc which Marika seemed to form from the strands of gold in the Gate of Divinity. It is not unlike the twisting fingers of Metyr, opening into the microcosm which, at one point, appears to have received messages from the greater will. If this is the earliest known depiction of the Elden Ring, and the woman surrounded by beasts is the young Marika, and the defeat of the Gloam-eyed queen is one of the founding acts of the Golden Order, it seems plausible to me that this statue was built to commemorate this event. That is, it would be here that Marika took the rune of death from the Gloam-eyed queen and left Malekith to guard it in the earliest days of the Golden Order, shortly after the birth of the Erdtree, while Marika was still a young woman, as represented by the statue. The beasts, which surround the statue, would represent the loyalty of the beasts to the New Age, in the form of shadow-bound beasts. A final thing to note about the Spira incantation: if, as seems likely, it depicts what would be accomplished with the creation of the Erdtree from a normalized crucible current, and the Scadutree, as we know, was born with the birth of the Erdtree, it could possibly explain something about the latter as well. Both the Spira incantation and the Farum Azula ring depict a central column, surrounded by two spirals, which twist around it. However, in the later depictions of the Elden ring, only the central column remains. The twisted spirals are gone, along with the disorderly golden strands that emanate around them, and in their place is the lower rune arc. It is as if they have been cut off by the lower arc of the ring. I think it plausible that these spirals, in this context, represent the Scadutree, and the central column the Erdtree. The existence of the spiral tree seal, inscribed with the same sigil as the Spira incantation, suggests as much. Its description tells us it is engraved with a spiral tree design. The column described in the Spira incantation as a column that stretches to the gods is a spiral tree. In the Hornsent vision, the two should exist as a single conjoined column, a single spiral tree. But despite her use of their power over the crucible, Marika's vision differs. In her vision, the two must be separated, and this leaves the Hornsent with the disfigured Scadutree as the detritus of this separation. This, I believe, coincides with the separation of the lands between from the land of shadow, after the defeat of the Gloam-eyed queen, but before the rest of the known history of the Golden Order.